Greetings, welcome back to the channel. The worst was yet to come with the narcissist. It surely was. I did this video, similar video, quite a long time ago, but I want to revisit it because sometimes we need a refresher on exactly who these people are and why we got out of that relationship to begin with. If you want to call it a relationship, it's an entrapment, an entanglement. But the funny thing is, I know that you guys have done it because I've done it. You often look back, at least at various points, especially when you're not healed, you will look back and you'll say, I don't know, I don't know, was it really that bad? Should I really have gotten out of it? What would have happened if I had stayed in that? If I had tried harder, given more? What if I hadn't made this mistake or that mistake? Because let's be honest, I will be 100% honest with you. I still made some mistakes with the narcissist because I'm human. I wasn't perfect, but I will say, personally, I know that I was about as perfect in that relationship as a person can be because I tried that hard and I got it that right with that person most of the time. Maybe you guys can resonate. You kill yourself to please these people, especially when you don't know what you're dealing with. You think when you don't know what narcissism is, you don't know you're dealing with one, you actually think things like they will change. This can improve. And you'll scratch your head. And guys, I actually just did this earlier today as a confession. I thought about a couple of the people I've dealt with in the past, narcissists, and I just wonder to myself, how is it? Why is it that these people just can't get it right? Why would you not? Why would you not want to enter into a relationship with a person and just come straight forward and just mutually get along and have respect and build something and make it last and be happy? Why would you not want to do that? You know what I'm saying? But that gets to the heart of it. They genuinely do not want to get along. And that is the thing that I think if I could name one reason alone, why it would never, ever, ever work with a narcissist. You're never going to have a fruitful relationship with them, period. End of discussion. Because they actually do not even want to get it right. They do not even want to have a good relationship. They couldn't. Because if they sincerely wanted to do that, they would make some sort of change at some point in their lives and work on themselves somehow, some way, so that they could have a good relationship at some point in time. But instead of that, they literally get off on chaos. They love it. They love to just hold you in the fire and sizzle you and scorch you. It fills them up with joy to make you miserable. So here's the point. We think about these things, have all these thoughts. The bottom line is, whatever situation you were in, whether it was for 2 months or 2 years or 20 years or anything in between, what you saw with that person, you were going to continue to see, and it was going to get worse and more severe. The worst was yet to come with that person. So look back, all the things that you experienced. Just think for a second about what you endured with that person you were with. I know what I did. Let's just recap a few things. She liked to hide things. Narcissists often do. My keys would go missing. My wallet would go missing. Some important document. Anything I needed would go missing. Randomly, time to time. Because this is part of their gaslighting process. And some of the people I trust that also talk about this, and they counsel narcissists, like like you can really do anything with them, and they admit that you really can't. But they'll say that if a narcissist is actually hiding things from you for the purpose of gaslighting you, that is a very far down the road narcissist. And I can attest to that because the one I dealt with was um, as classic female covert narcissist, did every single thing in the playbook, checked every single box, and did it in spades. She was way down the road. Very confident in saying that's a reprobate person, especially to see what she went on and did afterwards. It's a reprobate. She's gone. A lot of them are gone. Not all of them, because it is a spectrum. But hide things. Man, where did I put my keys? Where did I put my keys? And they laugh at you and they mock you while you look for them. You're always losing. Why can't you hang on to your keys? Why can't you ever find your wallet? And at the time, though, you're so confused with all the stuff that goes on and they put you through that you just think you're losing your mind. You really think, oh, I just misplace everything all the time. It's only after the fact that I realized, and I was pretty sure a couple times I caught her, but I wasn't positive. But looking back, I knew it. She was hiding them. She was doing this. How about the triangulation? Constant. Literally all the time. Out of nowhere, just bring up an old ex. Just bring up a name. This is how it would literally happen. Alan? Who's Alan? I would never date a guy named Alan. Oh, wait, I did. Oh, I did date a guy named Alan. Like you didn't know that. They brought it up expressly for the purpose of making you jealous. And then they'll proceed to tell you weird things about the person. Oh, he was far older than me. That's when I thought it would be a good idea to date a much older man. And well, he was still really immature and it didn't work. And just anything to make you jealous. Or out of nowhere, scrolling through their phone. Colby? Who's Cole? Oh, wait, I dated a Colby. Actually, I was with him for a year. They know what they're doing. Out to dinner. You get the googly eyes, the smirky eyes to some guy across the table. And then you catch them. What was that? Why did you do that? Well, you were looking at other women the whole time. You did this yesterday. You've been watching everybody that comes in. Guys, it's everyday occurrence with them. Or they'll tell you about some guy. They're at a park and they're walking around and some guy is driving around back and forth looking at them. And that's just to make you jealous. They met somebody at the grocery store and had a conversation, or right in front of you. Do you think for 1 second that that kind of behavior was just going to stop? No. It wasn't going to stop. They don't stop this kind of behavior. They don't stop doing these things. It just gets worse. The triangulation got worse and worse and worse. The hiding things got worse and worse and worse. Maybe you guys had this. Drop comments if you did. I would be maybe in the bathroom and say I took a shower while the person was at my house or I was over there or whatever. And she'd open the door, crack it while I was in the shower, and then come and accuse me of leaving the door open so that the kids could come and see me. Now, guys, I know that all our experiences are a little different because they have the same playbook, but the execution of that playbook is different depending on who they are and the circumstances and the situation. And so that's the intriguing thing. Same playbook, different execution. But those sorts of behaviors ramped up over time, is what I'm saying. They started with small things. Maybe you lost a key to your house. Then you find it later in the same place you've looked 15 times, but suddenly the narcissist is there at your house, and suddenly it's where you thought it was. Why? Because they took it temporarily and then put it back. Starts that way, and then you escalate all the way to, opening doors and pretending that you wanted bad things to happen. The triangulation ramps up. The games ramp up. How about the abuse? Remember how it started? Remember how it started with them? During the entrance into the devow, you said, I love you, right? That's what happened to me. That's the dreaded I got you moment for her. When we said, I love you, that was it. Because then she goes, I got him. He's hooked. 4 or 5 days later, the deval begins. Out of nowhere, literally nothing happens, and here it comes. They make up this situation that never occurred, and they hold you hostage for a few days, and they make you pine after them and chase after them and apologize for things that never happened. And then that's when they know they got you on the hook. You are high in empathy. Oh, yeah. He really wants this to work. I got him. It's dinner time, baby. And that's what they do. That's when it starts. But the abuse began at the deval in little ways. Oh, you can't fix this. Oh, he thought he was going to fix this with a screwdriver. Oh, in these little mocking ways, right? The sarcasm. But you pick up on it. But it ramps up and it escalates. And as you go on, you start to be called every curse word in the book. Maybe they start to flip you off all the time. Narcissists, for some reason, they love to flip you off. Every one of them that I know very well just cannot help but fly the bird. They love it because they're vulgar. It's their way of just expressing this hatred inside that they actually have for you in the world. But pretty soon, before you know it, you are a bleeping effing mother, bleeping mama psycho, blah, 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 blah. You're that. And you sit and you think, what happened to that sweet person I used to know? The answer is they never existed. There never was a sweet person. You ever seen the movie Primal Fear? It's got Edward Norton and Richard Gere in it. If you haven't, fascinating movie. But basically, Edward Norton's character pretends the entire time that he's got a split personality. And it ends up getting him off the hook on a murder charge because he fools the court and he fools everybody into the fact that he's schizophrenic. And then after he gets off, Richard Gere, his attorney, figures out there never was this other person, this guy named Aaron. He never existed. And Edward Norton starts clapping and is like, you figured it out. And it's awesome. And I know I just ruined the movie for you if you haven't seen it. Sorry. But it's still worth watching. It's really interesting. But that's what the narcissist does. They pretended from day one they were somebody else. And then you figured it out finally at the end that that person actually never existed. They never did. So all of this behavior just gets worse and worse. Before you know it, you are, like I said, every curse word in the book. You're a psycho. How about the fact that just their tantrums escalate? At first, it starts out with what? Something like silent treatment. You did nothing to me, so I'm not gonna talk to you for 3 days. You smashed a loaf of bread. This is the way it starts. And then as it escalates, it gets to absurd levels. So what started as a little bit of silent treatment, then maybe later becomes a rage fit. Blow up over, like I said, a piece of bread that was smashed. Or the smallest thing. And then pretty soon it turns into them storming out of the house and disappearing. Or leaving you somewhere. Drop comments if that ever happened. If you were out with the narcissist somewhere, maybe they were driving and they just left you. Happened to me. Happened to me a long way from home. So they escalate things and it gets worse. And then by the time that maybe it's towards the end of the relationship, you're seeing things you couldn't even believe. Maybe you had the cops called on you. I didn't, but it was threatened. And what did I do to deserve this? Nothing. Not one thing did I do. They did something. They grabbed my phone when I wasn't looking, looked through everything, all my messages, everything, the whole kit and caboodle, found nothing, so manufactured something out of the things they found, and accused you of doing this, that, and the other thing. And then when you want your phone back, or you want your stuff to leave, they threaten to call the cops. Some of you guys, I am sure, ended up with the police at your door or interrogating you or at your house or whatever because the narcissist contrived some sort of issue and blamed it on you. Or maybe they just did something ridiculous, absurd, and the cops got called for it. And you sat there and you thought to yourself, How in the world did I ever get in this situation? How in the literal heck did I end up, me, in a situation where the police might be involved here for something that never happened? See, guys, I felt very fortunate when I finally got out because things could have been a whole lot worse. And here's really the point of the whole video. It's not just that things could have been a lot worse. It's that they would have been a lot worse. The worst days in that relationship were yet to come. There was no light at the end of that tunnel. The grass was not going to get greener. It was not going to improve. Instead, you would have found yourself in worse and worse and worse situations as it went on. Maybe you didn't get the cops called on you, but you would have. Maybe you didn't end up in some kind of trouble, but you would have over nothing. Or maybe you just defended yourself for the first time and they couldn't handle it. Maybe they didn't have a full-fledged affair or cheat on you, but they would have. See, they triangulate all the time. And I have to say, I love it. There's a lot of channels I watch, not for narcissism very often anymore, but other things, dating and whatever, just to keep up with the way things are. And just really just examine how bad the culture is. But a lot of people will talk about how they were with a narcissist and I was with a narcissist, but I never got cheated on. They never cheated on me. You know literally nothing about narcissism, do you? Do you? Because you thought you were in a relationship with a narcissist for an extended period of time and they didn't do anything shady behind your back at all? Nothing? Not even just talked to other people behind your back? If you thought that, you're dead wrong. I'm telling you right now, if you were with a narcissist, for sure, you know it was, no doubt about it, and you think to yourself, they were completely faithful to me the whole time, you're dead wrong. You just didn't find out. You just didn't catch them. These people cannot stay faithful to anyone. They must, because there's many reasons, but one of the primary reasons is they must always have a fallback plan. Backup supply, backups for backups, right? Like I was told. I've got backups and backups for my backups. I've been talking to other people the whole time. She just admitted it after it was really over, seriously over, because then it was a way to hurt me. But they don't all admit it, but they all do it. Because you have to have someone else on the hook. They cannot be alone, so they're always grooming someone somewhere. It may not always be physical. It often is. It may not always be, but they've got something going on you don't know anything about. So these people have to laugh. I was with a narcissist, but they were faithful to me. That's genuinely funny. That person is either living in denial or they have no idea really the depths of the narcissist. But the point is, if they didn't cheat on you physically, stick around and they would have. They didn't blow the relationship up sky high by maybe doing something crazy, just lunatic-like. Give it time, they would have. Given enough time, you would have seen things you'd never believe. Because in the relationship, you saw things you couldn't believe. I saw behaviors I just didn't even know existed. That you just scratch your head or you sit there with your jaw on the floor because you're like, who would do this? Who would even think to do this? How would you even sit back and invent doing this? But they did. The narcissist does because they're deeply disturbed and they're evil. They're spiritually disordered people. If you thought that any of that at any point in time was going to improve, you could not possibly be any more wrong. So if you're still wondering, or if you ever do wonder, what would the future have been like? What if I had stayed in it? What would have happened? Could it have improved? Could it have changed? Would they have gotten their act together a little bit? Would it have even just stayed the way it was? The answer to all these questions is no. The narcissist basically does this. Imagine the relationship as a balloon. We've all blown up a balloon, and you push, you blow, sorry, and it gets bigger and bigger, and you can start to feel when its pressure is built up. It can't take much more. That's the way the narcissist views the relationship, and they blow on it, and they stretch it, and they push it, and they push it, and they push it, and they push it, and just when it's about to pop, even though they know it's about to pop, they push it a little bit farther and blow a little more air into it until it finally pops. That's the entire duration of the relationship. How much abuse can you take? So if you had stayed in the relationship for any longer, if you had, they would have continued to blow that thing until it popped. You would have seen the things of nightmares if you didn't already. Someone close to me told me after the relationship, Brian, I'm so glad you got out of that. You would have seen a nightmare. You would have seen hell with that person. And I thought to myself, I already did. If you only knew some of the things, because you don't even tell some people everything because it's that bad. It's embarrassing, frankly, that you even put up with it. But it's that bad. But I also thought to myself, you're right and you're wrong. I would have seen, I did see nightmares already. So you're wrong in the sense that that didn't happen. But you're right that it would have been even worse. Anything you saw in that relationship, the worst behavior that you saw, you haven't seen anything yet. Had you stayed. And guys, right now, I'm talking to people who might still be in this with one of these people. Get out while you can. Whatever you have seen, you're going to see more of, and you're going to see worse. Do you want to be in a situation at some point where maybe you lose your job because of this person, or you have the police come for this person, or you're accused of doing something crazy, or something insane happens? Maybe you're 8 hours away on a trip with them and they leave you there. These sorts of things and many, many more I can't even make up or fathom. If you haven't gotten this yet, you will get this. This kind of stuff will happen. It's inevitable because they're that bad. They're that corrupt. They're that spiritually disordered. So guys, look back. If you think for 1 second there's a possibility it could have improved, what if I'd stayed? What if I'd done more? What if anything had been different? What might it have been like if, say, I was still in it? Way worse. More abuse, more extreme levels, escalating, ramping up until that relationship explodes. And anyone, as I always say, who stays in a relationship with a narcissist for a long time, it only means one thing. One. That person is getting tortured. And for whatever the reasons, has just resigned themselves to taking it. The worst was yet to come with the narcissist. Believe it. So guys, I hope that you enjoyed this. Drop comments below. I will come at you again with another one shortly. And until then, God bless.